Why is it that those who shout the loudest often seem the weakest? Could it be that real power is hidden in silence, not noise? What if the strongest person in the room is the one who says the least, but sees the most? Have you ever noticed how the world rewards noise, likes, follows, applause, yet the truly powerful often remain quiet? In an age driven by attention, those who move silently, think deeply, and act with clarity hold a power that cannot be shaken. The Stoics understood this long before the modern world existed. True mastery isn't about controlling others, it's about mastering yourself. So today we'll uncover how to rise above all the noise and embody a quiet strength, one that doesn't just survive, but dominates. What you're about to discover may completely shift how you carry yourself in daily life. Let's begin with strategy number 1. Observe more than you speak. This might seem simple, but it's one of the most underrated and powerful tools you can ever develop. The discipline to observe, to really observe, before reacting or speaking, is a form of quiet dominance. In a society obsessed with showing off, the Stoic chooses a different path. He knows that power doesn't lie in how loudly you express your ideas, but in how sharply you understand the world around you. While others rush to fill the room with noise, eager to be noticed or praised, the Stoic waits, still, watching, listening, learning, and in that stillness, he catches details that others completely miss. In every gathering, the one who speaks with intention, who guards his words like a blade, only to be drawn when truly needed, is the one who carries true influence. Because silence isn't a void, silence is a force. It sharpens your mind by freeing you from the pressure to impress. When you no longer feel the urge to constantly explain yourself, you unlock the ability to understand others more deeply. You begin to notice what others try to hide. Their motivations, disguised in polite conversation, their fears, buried within grand ambitions. Most people speak just to be heard, to shape how the world sees them. But the Stoic listens to understand, not just what is said, but what is left unsaid. He listens to perceive the truth beneath the surface, to see the soul beneath the mask, and this gives him a powerful edge, an invisible advantage. Because every time someone speaks, they reveal more than they realize. Their desires, their weaknesses, their blind spots, all exposed to the one who waits patiently in silence. So speak only when your words elevate the silence, not out of nervousness or pressure, but from a place of calm strength. Now, let's build on this foundation with the next strategy, one that will show you how silence not only gives you insight, but shields your power as well. Previously, we uncovered how silent observation can become a source of quiet power, one that doesn't shout to be heard, but listens to truly understand. Now let's dive deeper into how that silence becomes not only your shield, but your strength. Your silence at first may simply seem like restraint to others, but over time, it takes on the shape of wisdom. Not because you're hiding ignorance, far from it, but because you've learned the immense value of timing, of restraint, of speaking only when the moment is right. Picture this. You walk into a high-stakes business meeting. Everyone around the table is fighting to speak first, pitching ideas frantically, hoping to impress, dominate, and appear as the most intelligent person in the room. But amidst this noise, there is one man who sits calmly. He's alert, focused, but not desperate to contribute for the sake of attention. He listens, not just to what is being said, but to what is being left out. He catches the subtle pauses, the strategic alliances forming behind the words, the nervousness hidden in certain tones, the emotional tension beneath the polished presentations. And when he finally chooses to speak, he does it with deliberate precision, addressing not only the surface of the conversation, but exposing the truth underneath it. He walks out of that room not as the loudest, but as the most respected, not because he demanded power, but because he mastered presence. This is the art of true observation. And make no mistake, it's not passive. It's not about sitting back and zoning out. It's about being fully engaged, fully aware, fully present, reading the room, reading between the lines, without feeling the need to constantly insert yourself. Once you cultivate this ability, it will change the way you experience life. You begin to move differently, speak less, and people wonder what you're thinking. They hesitate to challenge you because they can't predict your next move. They can't twist your words because you haven't given them any to twist. You protect your depth, your intention, your leverage. And in a culture addicted to exposure and over-explaining, the man who knows how to remain partially hidden becomes not only rare, but dangerous in the best way. His restraint becomes a weapon, his silence a shield. But here's something most people overlook. This kind of observation doesn't just protect you from others, it teaches you about yourself. When you stop scrambling to be heard, you finally have space to reflect, to question your assumptions, to make corrections privately before the world ever sees your mistakes. Silence gives you clarity not only over others, but over your own mind. So in every conversation, every encounter, pause and ask yourself, what's really being said here? What's driving this person? What truth is hiding beneath the surface? Next, we'll uncover the next Stoic strategy, one that teaches you how to speak when you must, with unshakable authority and calm. Previously, we explored how silence not only protects you, it sharpens you. By mastering observation, you gain clarity over both others and yourself. Now, we take that clarity one step further by transforming it into disciplined, purposeful action. It starts with developing patience, the kind of patience that allows you to sit with unanswered questions rather than rushing to fill the void with shallow conclusions. And it continues with learning to tolerate the discomfort of silence instead of smothering it with meaningless talk. That silence, it's a forge, and the longer you endure it, the stronger your mind becomes. Over time, you'll feel a subtle but powerful transformation. You'll no longer feel that urgent itch to prove yourself. You won't be easily drawn into every emotional storm or petty conflict. Your words, when you do speak, will no longer come from insecurity or ego, but from calm precision and clarity. No more noise for validation, only words that matter when they matter. Those who observe more than they speak don't just manage life more effectively, they shape it. Like invisible architects, they quietly influence outcomes, not with volume, but with insight. Now, let's move into strategy number 2. Let action be your voice. This is one of the most overlooked yet deeply Stoic principles, letting your actions speak louder than your words. In a world addicted to announcements, declarations, and constant self-promotion, the Stoic chooses a quieter path, one based on results, not rhetoric. Because here's the truth: the loudest person in the room almost never holds the most power. True influence rarely raises its voice. True mastery needs no applause. It doesn't ask for recognition. It simply is. Seneca captured this truth perfectly. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Words are cheap, promises fade. What endures, what commands respect, is consistent action. The Stoic doesn't waste time advertising how committed he is, how hard he's working, or how big his dreams are. He just works, quietly, relentlessly, like a river carving through stone, not through force, but through patience and persistence, day after day. Quiet, steady progress. Others may clamor for attention, craving applause for their efforts. But the Stoic remains focused, and in time his results speak more powerfully than any speech or slogan ever could. There's an old saying, wolves don't announce their presence. They are felt, not heard, feared, not flaunted. In the same way, when you move through life with quiet discipline, building your craft, refining your habits, strengthening your mind, you don't need to tell the world who you are becoming. They'll see it. Your results will show it. Your discipline will leave a trail. Up next, we'll uncover how your silence and action together create a reputation that travels further than any words ever could. Previously, we explored the Stoics' quiet power, the kind that builds in silence and lets results speak louder than words ever could. Now let's deepen that idea, because true strength isn't about hiding. It's about building something so undeniable, so real, that when it finally reveals itself, no words are needed. Your results will always arrive before your words ever have to. But let's make something clear. This isn't about secrecy or fear. It's about building with such intention and depth that once your work shows up, it speaks for itself. Set your goals without fanfare. Chase them relentlessly, day by day. Refine your craft in solitude, not because you're waiting for applause, but because mastery itself is the reward. The Stoic doesn't perform for attention. He works in the dark, quietly, patiently, preparing for a future he never brags about, because he knows the future will eventually reveal everything he has built behind the scenes. Let's bring this to life with a simple example. Picture two people starting their fitness journey. The first one announces every step, posting daily. Updates, broadcasting every goal, every small win, clinging to external validation for motivation. The second says nothing. No updates, no declarations. He simply shows up to train every single day. Quiet, focused. Months later, the transformation becomes visible. Now ask yourself, who earns true respect? The answer is clear: the one who let his results speak. Not because he asked for praise, but because the change became impossible to ignore. And this principle isn't limited to fitness. It applies everywhere, in your career, your relationships, your personal growth. It's always tempting to share your vision, to explain your plans, especially when the road feels long and lonely. But every time you do, you surrender a piece of your energy. You invite pressure. You shift your focus from substance to performance. The Stoic doesn't fall into that trap. He guards his energy. He works quietly. He understands that success, or even simple endurance, is all the voice he'll ever need. Because in the end, what truly moves the world isn't noise. It's consistency, not grand speeches, not emotional announcements, but quiet, disciplined, daily effort, the kind of effort that doesn't need permission or praise, just repetition, over and over. And that's what people fear most, not the one who talks loudly about their ambition, but the one who shows up without fail, growing stronger, more focused, and more refined, without saying a word. But the real power of this approach isn't just in how others perceive you. It's in how it changes you. When you commit to working in silence, you break free from the need to be seen. You stop chasing applause. You stop bending to other people's opinions. Instead, you find peace in progress. Your motivation becomes internal. Your reward is no longer out there. It lives within you. Coming up next, we'll explore how this quiet strength earns you something even more powerful than success. It earns you respect. In the last part, we uncovered how silent consistency forges not just achievement, but transformation. And now we arrive at what may be the most rewarding outcome of all, the quiet satisfaction of knowing you've honored your own potential, even when no one was watching, even when no one applauded. The Stoics understood something deeply powerful. The highest form of victory is not convincing the world of your greatness. It's mastering yourself so completely that you no longer need the world's approval. Your life becomes the argument, your discipline becomes the evidence, and your inner peace becomes your only announcement. I once met a master carpenter, an old craftsman, who lived this philosophy without ever quoting it. While others in his trade marketed themselves with bold promises, flashy slogans, and constant updates, he simply worked, year after year, project after project. Slowly, patiently, he refined his skill, shaping wood with care and precision. He never had to brag. Every table, every chair, every beam he touched spoke for him. You could feel the excellence in his work. And soon, people from all over began seeking him out, not because he shouted for attention, but because his craftsmanship whispered something rare. I remember asking him once about his success. He just smiled and said, "Good work needs no advertisement." That's Stoicism in action, pure and simple. So set your goals quietly, pursue them relentlessly, build your foundation while others are still making noise. And when success comes, and it will, let others ask how you managed to get so far without ever making a scene. Let them realize that while they were performing, you were perfecting. While they were chasing attention, you were chasing mastery. And even if no one notices at first, even if the applause never arrives, you'll still walk away with something far more valuable. You'll gain self-respect. You'll feel a quiet pride that can't be taken from you. You'll develop a deep inner calm, a strength not built on recognition, but on the unshakable ground of your own consistent effort. Because at the end of the day, real power doesn't broadcast itself. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It moves silently, leaves an impression that lingers, and lets the results do all the talking. Now we arrive at strategy number 3, master detachment. Let's explore one of the most misunderstood yet most potent Stoic tactics. A strategy that can help you master not only others, but yourself. It's the weapon of emotional detachment. Why is this so powerful? In a world where nearly everyone is emotionally entangled in outcomes, craving victory, applause, validation, the Stoic walks a different path. He holds a secret edge. the refusal to be enslaved by what he, in the last strategy, we uncovered how the Stoic draws strength from silence and consistency, how he builds self-respect from within. Now, we move into a different kind of strength, a strength not of force or reputation, but of the mind. This is the power of detachment, the ability to remain calm and grounded no matter what life throws your way. The Stoic's strength does not come from trying to control the world. His power lies in mastering one thing only, his own mind. At the heart of this mindset is a powerful idea, amor fati, to love fate. Not just to tolerate what happens, but to embrace it fully, as though you had chosen it. To see success and failure, gain and loss, praise and blame, not as separate forces to chase or run from, but as equal parts of a single, beautiful tapestry. The Stoic understands a truth that most people miss. Real freedom isn't getting everything you want. It's not needing it in the first place. Most people are easily controlled. Why? Because they're desperate for approval, attention, validation. They want to be seen, liked, admired. And that desperation makes them predictable. When someone insults them, they rush to defend themselves. When challenged, they scramble to prove their worth. When praised, they become addicted to more praise. Their emotions blow in every direction, like dry leaves in the wind, scattered by the smallest gust of fortune. But the Stoic? He stays rooted. He knows that external outcomes, fortune, praise, recognition, are not within his control. What is within his control? His mind, his effort, his attitude, his character, and only these deserve his full attention and loyalty. Each day, the Stoic reflects, what can I truly control? My thoughts, my actions, my responses. Everything else, what others say, how they see me, what fortune brings, is not mine to own. And if it's not mine to own, it's not mine to fear losing. Let's bring this idea to life. Imagine two warriors preparing for battle. The first is obsessed with victory. He can't bear the idea of losing. His mind is clouded with fear, anxiety, and the weight of expectations. If he wins, he feels validated. If he loses, he's crushed. The second warrior thinks differently. He doesn't focus on winning or losing. He focuses on the preparation, on training, courage, showing up with honor. His peace is not attached to the outcome. Because of that, he fights freely, without fear. Now ask yourself, which one do you think fights with more clarity, more focus, more power? It's always the one who is detached. And this principle doesn't just belong on ancient battlefields. It applies to everyday life. A student who only studies to impress others will crumble at the first sign of failure. A leader addicted to applause will fall apart under criticism. A lover who and that's where we'll pick up next, with the dangers of emotional attachment in relationships, and how the Stoic response creates freedom instead of suffering. Previously, we saw how the Stoic warrior gains power through emotional detachment, fighting not for victory but with honor, free from the fear of loss. Now we bring that principle into everyday life, where attachment doesn't just limit us, it weakens us. Think of this: the tighter you grip something, the more fragile it becomes. The same is true for people, goals, or outcomes. A person who clings to their partner out of fear of loss, fear of loneliness, often ends up pushing them away. The desperation poisons the connection. The fear creates tension. And in trying to hold on too tightly, They end up losing what they try to protect. But the one who moves through life with a light grip, not careless but free, is untouchable, not because nothing matters, but because he knows what truly does. I once knew a young entrepreneur who embodied this beautifully. While others in his field obsessed over raising capital, gaining approval, and chasing external validation, he remained committed to a different path. He focused entirely on building something meaningful, something valuable, no matter how long it took or who happened to notice. Some years, his projects failed. Other years, they thrived. But through it all, he remained emotionally steady, calm, grounded. Investors respected him. Customers trusted him. Competitors feared him. Why? Not because he bragged or begged for attention, but because he didn't need it. His emotional detachment made him powerful, in the best, most stoic sense of the word. Because detachment isn't about quitting, it's about giving your absolute best while releasing your grip on the outcome. It's about caring deeply for your principles, your courage, your discipline, your kindness, while letting go of the applause, the trophies, the recognition that may or may not follow. And when you live this way, every hardship becomes training. Every insult becomes a test of patience. Every failure becomes a sharpening of the soul. So how do you build this kind of strength? You train it daily. You learn to separate what belongs to you from what doesn't. Your actions, yours, your effort, yours, your values and intentions, all yours. But other people's opinions, not yours. The outcome of your hard work, not yours. Each night reflect. Did I live with integrity today, regardless of the results? If yes, then you have already won. When insulted, don't strike back. Your indifference will confuse the petty and inspire the wise. When challenged, don't defend your ego. Defend only your values, and when praised, receive it with humility, but don't let it define you. You are not your victories, just as you are not your defeats. You are your consistent effort. You are your inner character, and here lies a great secret. If you want to outsmart those ruled by ego, you don't have to argue. You don't have to fight. You simply have to stop needing what they crave. While they chase approval, you remain centered. While they fear failure, you welcome whatever comes next. And while they cling desperately to things they cannot control, you will already have moved on, calmly preparing for the next strategy, one that reveals how the Stoic turns control of the mind into control of influence. In the previous section, we saw how emotional detachment frees you from the traps of ego and fear. While others cling tightly to their self-image, you dissolve yours, replacing it with calm, clarity, and quiet strength. That clarity? It rattles people. Those who are ruled by emotion cannot understand the one who remains still. While they are drained chasing validation, you conserve your energy. While they seek recognition, you stay focused on integrity. Detachment gives you an inner stillness, a peace not based on outcomes, but rooted in the way you show up, with courage, with grace, and with unwavering honor. Because in the end, the one who expects nothing, fears nothing, and needs nothing cannot be outsmarted. He has already won where it matters most, within himself. Now we turn to strategy number 4. Build an unshakable character. This might be the quietest yet most powerful way to outsmart the world, by becoming the kind of person who cannot be shaken. A character so grounded in truth, so resilient, so guided by inner virtue, that no betrayal, no setback, no external blow can destroy it. We live in a world where people crumble easily. They switch loyalties for convenience, they collapse under pressure, they fold at the first sign of hardship. But the man of true character, he stands like a mountain, silent, unmoved, enduring. To truly rise above the chaos, it's not enough to master clever tactics or strategic thinking. The Stoic goes deeper. He masters himself. His very being becomes a quiet form of resistance against the madness of the world. And this kind of mastery? It's never built in the spotlight. It's forged in solitude, in discipline, in the hours no one sees, no one claps for. When others are distracted, chasing fleeting rewards, the Stoic is working, building a foundation so strong that when the storm hits, he doesn't need to act brave. He already is. The Stoics understood a timeless truth. Real character is revealed not in comfort but in crisis. Not when things are easy, but when everything falls apart, when the lights go out, when you're alone, when the applause stops. That's when you meet your true self. And if you've done the work, if you've built your life on values rather than vanity, you won't need to scramble for strength. You'll already have it. But make no mistake, this kind of character isn't accidental. It takes daily, intentional effort. It's about small, steady practices, choosing habits that shape your mind and fortify your soul. Reading the wisdom of those who came before, journaling to sharpen your awareness, reflecting on your choices without excuses or self-pity. Because strength of character isn't something you talk about, it's something you build. And next, we'll explore exactly how these daily choices, done quietly and without applause, shape your legacy, long before the world realizes you've already won. In the last part, we explored how unshakable character is not formed in applause but in silence, built through daily choices that strengthen the soul. And it's in this silence that something even more powerful begins to emerge, the ability to hear your own soul clearly. To live with Stoic strength is to intentionally surround yourself with stillness, not to escape the world, but to return to yourself. Solitude to the Stoic is not loneliness. It is a sacred training ground for true independence. It's where distractions fall away and discipline rises. It's where you stop being shaped by the noise around you and start becoming guided by something deeper within. It means holding yourself to a higher standard than the world ever demands. Not because you want praise or reward, but because you refuse to lower your spirit to the level of mediocrity. You see, the world asks very little of you. It says, show up, follow the crowd, seek comfort, avoid challenge, be agreeable. But the Stoic asks something entirely different and far more demanding. Discipline yourself, sharpen your wisdom, act with courage, live with justice, endure hardship with grace. And above all, aim not to be admired by others, but to be respected by yourself. And here's the paradox. When you live this way, quietly, persistently, without seeking attention, people will notice. They may not fully understand it. Some will admire you. Some may envy or resent you, but all will feel it. They'll ask themselves, how does he stay calm when everything is falling apart? How does he remain composed when others are spiraling? How does he keep moving forward, steady and strong, while others break under the weight of emotion? You won't have to explain. You won't have to defend. Your presence will be the answer, because true Stoic wisdom doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't wear a label. It reveals itself quietly, clearly, and powerfully through how you live your life. Picture a seasoned sailor caught in a violent storm. The winds howl, the waves crash, others on board panic. But the sailor, he stays focused, steady, alert, calm. He doesn't waste energy cursing the weather. He can't control the sea. But he can control the sails, the rudder, and most importantly, his own mind. His survival doesn't depend on changing the storm. It depends on mastering himself within it. That's life. That's Stoic strength. I once met a man who lived this truth without ever preaching it. He had lost his business, been betrayed by friends, battled a serious illness. Life had hit him hard, and yet not once did he let bitterness take root. Not once did he let anger or despair define him. Every single morning he woke up early. He read philosophy. He wrote down his intentions for the day. He greeted people with respect, even those who, and that's exactly where we'll continue, how Stoic character reveals itself not in speeches, but in how we treat others, especially when they don't deserve our kindness. Previously, we saw how Stoic character isn't declared, it's demonstrated, especially in how we treat others, even those who wrong us. That's where true resilience shines, not in what we say, but in who we quietly choose to be. This man I mentioned, the one who faced betrayal, failure, and illness, never once spoke with bitterness. When people asked how he endured so much, his answer was always the same. Life trains those it loves. No dramatics, no self-pity, just a calm, steady strength that had clearly been earned, not gifted. And over time, even the very people who once mocked or dismissed him began to respect him. Why? Not because he ever sought their approval, but because true character eventually commands respect, silently, inevitably, without having to demand it. If you truly want to outsmart the world without burning yourself out, then build that kind of character, not for applause, not for recognition, but because when life tests you, and it will, that kind of foundation is the only one that won't crack. This path, though, it isn't flashy, it isn't easy, it often feels lonely. It demands that you step away from the noise, that you walk past the shortcuts, that you stop chasing the cheap validations everyone else is addicted to. It asks you to be your own toughest critic, and at the same time, your own fiercest ally. To work quietly in the shadows, trusting that one day the light will reveal what you've built in silence. Every book you read when others chose entertainment. Every quiet moment of reflection when the world chose distraction. Every time you acted with integrity when no one was watching. Every time you responded with patience instead of anger, with grit instead of giving up. You were laying another stone in the fortress of your character, and one day that fortress will become visible to everyone, not because you pointed to it, but because they'll feel it in your presence, in how you move, in how you speak, in how you endure without flinching. You'll no longer need to force anything. Your discipline, your calm, your quiet strength, they will all speak for themselves. You'll outlast the loud, the frantic, the insecure, because while they were busy chasing attention, you were becoming something real, something solid. In the end, the strongest move you can make in a chaotic world is this: become a person of such unshakable character that no praise can inflate you and no insult can shake you. No victory will make you arrogant, and no loss will make you bitter. Always remember, you don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be the strongest presence. Because true mastery isn't measured by how much attention you get. It's measured by how little you need it, and in a world addicted to noise, to applause, to validation, you rise above quietly and powerfully by mastering only one thing: yourself. Coming up next, we'll bring all of these strategies together to reveal how the Stoic path forms not just resilience, but an unstoppable presence in every room you walk into. In the last part, we reflected on the power of mastering yourself in a world addicted to noise. Now we bring all the lessons together because what the Stoics taught us was never about performance. It was about becoming. The greatest victories, they said, are won far from the spotlight, deep within. Outsmarting others silently isn't manipulation. It's not deceit. It's discipline. It's about living with such calm, patience, and unwavering purpose that the world has no choice but to adapt to your presence. It's choosing restraint over reaction, focus over distraction, virtue over vanity. And when you live this way, something rare begins to happen. You stop chasing influence, and it begins to follow you. Not because you asked for it, but because your consistency, your stillness, your quiet mastery speaks in a language louder than words. You no longer need to prove anything. Let your actions speak. Let your daily discipline, your calm presence, your steady walk toward wisdom carry the message for you. Because one day, your presence alone will speak the words your pride never needed to say. If this message speaks to something in you, if it reminds you of who you're trying to become, then keep walking this path, the path of silent strength, quiet power. And if you're still here, still listening, then leave a sign below. Type quiet power. Let's see who among us walks softly but carries depth. Stay steady, stay unseen. Keep building what no storm can shake, because in the end, the most powerful force in the world is not the one that shouts. It's the one that stands calm, unshaken, while everything else trembles.